Welcome back, friends. Today we're going to talk about aesthetics, art, and beauty. Aesthetics refers to an awareness of beauty or to that quality in a work of art which evokes a sense of elevated awareness within the viewer. Aesthetics should not be equated with taste. Good taste always refers to an established sense of normalcy, and most artists are continually trying to push the boundaries of established conventions. There are some theories related to aesthetics that can be categorized into three different approaches or ways of thinking. Let us go take a ride. Number one, the subjective approach. This holds that judgment is personal and all responses are equally valid. All right? I look at a thing, I think it's this, and that's the way it is. All right? That's a subjective approach. It's all based on one's subjectivity. Then there's the objective approach. The objective approach presumes that there is a standard to go by, and there is an absolute judgment that could be made on any given work of art. There's a danger in this, guys. There's the danger in that you have to ask yourself, who then is making the decision? Who is the decider, as our former president would say, in terms of saying this is good versus this is bad? That's a scary place when you give somebody or a group of individuals that kind of power. That was what modernism was all about. We gave power to a few select group of people that said this is good and this isn't good. Then 3, there's the relativist approach, which holds that aesthetics are actually a combination of the previous two, of subjective and objective. And I tend to agree with that. It is a combination of the two. Now, beauty is very tricky because in the past it was based on culturally accepted standards rather than individual responses. This causes problems since what one person thinks is beautiful doesn't necessarily jive with another's view of beauty. We often use the word beautiful to refer to things that are simply pretty. People confuse this all the time. Beautiful to pretty. What they really mean is, oh, that's pretty versus, oh, that's beautiful. Pretty means pleasant or attractive to the eye. It's eye candy. It's bright colors, etc. Whereas beautiful means having qualities of a high order, qualities that delight the eye, that engage intellectual and moral sense, or all of it simultaneously. It is important to consider the possibilities beyond conventional notions of beauty. Think about this. If art's only function is to please the senses, ugliness would have no place in art. But look at literature or movies or songs that we listen to when we have a tremendous heartbreak. We don't expect all works of art to be pretty or pleasant. So why should we expect that within the visual arts? Remember, life is beautiful, but it ain't always pretty. Same thing goes with art. All right, take a look at this. This is Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbook, where we get a glimpse into what he thought was beautiful simply by looking at what he spent time trying to learn how to draw. A side note, real quick side note. From now on, when you're talking about Leonardo da Vinci, please do not say Da Vinci. All right? That's simply the place he was from. You could say Leonardo, but don't say Da Vinci. All right? That's like saying Art Spokes from Houston, but then you just keep going from Houston. No, say Art Spokes. All right? Back to the art. So this is Leonardo's sketch, 5 Grotesque Heads. Leonardo studied people of striking appearance, people either very beautiful or very ugly. Leonardo would follow people around for a whole day if he thought they had an interesting or unusual look to them until he could draw them from memory. When we look at Leonardo da Vinci's sketchbook, we get a glimpse into the things he thought were beautiful. And if you look at these heads, these aren't people you'd want to be kissing late at night. All right, this is Otto Dieck's etching called Wounded Soldier. Compare it to Leonardo's graceful drawings of 5 heads that we just saw. Dieck's etchings carry the grotesque quality of the larger subject of war. His lines are much more violent and less precise than Leonardo's. Detail wasn't important to him. Conveying the horror of war was. He served in the German army for 4 years during WW1, the big one, and that was considered probably one of the most brutal wars in all of history. And he depicted the terrible anguish of war, and you could see it within this figure. All right, let's take a look at this. This is Vincent van Gogh's skull with a burning cigarette. He presents another aspect of what we would consider ugly, reminders of death. Van Gogh made this painting 100 years before the issue of smoking was even in the forefront of society. Look at the brushwork. Everything is very precise and the paint is carefully applied. Every line and mark are created to evoke and affect the viewer. Now compare that with Jean-Michel Basquiat's Tobacco made in 1984, which is painted in a very graffiti style. The same subject matter, but the treatment of the materials is quite different. Okay, friends, that's it for this week on aesthetics and beauty. Hopefully you now understand that when we look at a work of art, there are aesthetic approaches that we have to consider in how we think about beauty. And that beauty does not mean pretty. Until next week, peace and love, my brothers and sisters, and keep on keeping on.